to kind of assess this impact of the play, following each performance, I had a talk back to engage audience members, and I also collected surveys from the audience members. And they talked about, what would you do going forward to solve this issue? How have you been impacted by watching the show? Because I wanted to make sure that the impact was not only being taken away by the cast, but that it was also the people who were viewing it. It's kind of a unique, I think, sustainability thing, because I am continuing to be in this play and perform this play, and it still has this life. I applied for a grant, the Dragon Kim Fellowship. I recently got $5,000 additional dollars, including the one I got over the summer, so I'm going to be able to continue it this year and the next. And what's really, amazing is that people just want to keep donating, and the cast members are still wanting to be in it even, after all this time. So it's just really making sure, you identify how long you want this project to have a life. And a play itself is something that will last forever because it's a written thing. But I know that I want to keep being in the play for as long as I can.
One of the ways I measured my impact was I sent out a survey to the oncology centers that had my book. And so when they had the book, they reported that there was a boost in morale. I was also able to measure the impact of my project through having a website. I could track who was viewing it, where they were viewing it from, and how many times a day they were viewing it. And so having these numbers readily available was very helpful. One of the ways I made my project sustainable was by making it physically sustainable. So having a book was a great idea, so I could actually hand it to a hospital and know that they could take care of it. It was also helpful when I got people involved with it, that they could make sure that book was sustainable and was continuing to be distributed to different hospitals and organizations.
It's definitely important to measure your impact. One way that I did this was through surveys. So at the beginning of the class, I would have them take a survey saying how confident they were in coding and how confident they were in wanting to pursue a job in technology. And at the end of the class, they would take a similar survey rating how confident they were and how much they wanted to pursue that. And being able to see that difference was tangible evidence to be able to see how they grew. My Gold Award has 6 international chapters currently. And in the chapter that I created at my high school, I actually created 8 committees to separate the actual work that goes behind the scenes of my Gold Award. For example, we have curriculum, design, social media, marketing. All of these different kinds of things culminate into the bigger project. And I actually have different committee members that will be there in order to sustain my project even when I am gone.
I had a huge social media aspect, so I use social media tracking options that says, this is how many clicks you got, this is where your target demographics are, stuff like that. And then for keeping track of how change went, I just had to look at current events and see how the people that I worked with were connected to them. So when Hawaii banned the sale of oxybenzone-containing sunscreen, I had to look and say, how was I connected to that? Well, the scientists that I worked with were responsible for that change. They used my materials, they circulated the information, so I know that because of how my information was spread, change is actually happening.
The fact that I worked with the Senate and the police force means that I have 2 completely different bodies, 2 different corporations outside of myself who are also working towards that goal, which means that even when I am not there, they will still be working towards that and they will still be working for that. So I have the Senate who is currently working hard to get the project approved by the governor, and I have the police force who is putting together that platform to educate themselves on that basic sign language, so that work will continue to flow even after I'm no longer involved in it.